This just dropped, and it could completely reshape the future of the Baltimore Ravens offense. The team made a major move involving Zay Flowers, and make no mistake, there's serious money and long-term strategy behind it. But the real question is, why make this move right now? And what does it actually mean for where this team is headed? Because the more you look at this situation, the deeper it gets. This isn't just about keeping a player. It impacts the salary cap, the entire wide receiver market, and most importantly, the Ravens' next step as a contender. And there's one detail here that not a lot of people are paying attention to that could completely change how this deal is viewed very soon. The Baltimore Ravens didn't hesitate here. They picked up Zay Flowers' 5th-year option, and to me, that says way more than it looks like on the surface. This isn't just a routine contract decision. This is a team making it clear they're not willing to take any risk when it comes to one of the key pieces of their offense. When a franchise moves like this, they're basically saying, this guy is part of our core. Let's break it down simply. Flowers was already locked in for 2026 under his rookie deal. With this move, the Ravens now extend that control through 2027 without needing to negotiate anything right now. It's like hitting a safety button. And honestly, teams only make this kind of move when the player is already proven on the field that he's worth that level of trust. Another thing that stands out to me is the timing. There's a firm league deadline for this decision, May 1st for first-round picks from the NFL Draft 2023. And the Ravens didn't drag this out or hesitate. They handled it on time, but more importantly, with conviction. That tells you there's zero internal doubt about what Flowers means to this organization right now. Now, once you lock in a player like this for longer, the conversation naturally shifts, and it gets even more important in today's NFL. How much is this really going to cost? This is where things take a real turn, because it's not just about keeping the player. It's about how much you're willing to pay to do it. Zay Flowers' 5th-year option is set at a fully guaranteed $27.3 million for 2027. And let's be real, that's not just another number in today's NFL. To me, that already places him in a salary tier typically reserved for established high-end receivers, not players still technically tied to an extended rookie deal. When you really look at it, this move from the Baltimore Ravens sends a very clear message. They're not treating Flowers like a prospect or someone who still needs to prove himself. You don't assign that kind of money to a player you're still evaluating. That's money for someone who's already delivered consistent production, made a real impact on the offense, and shown reliability week after week. To me, internally, he's already viewed as a cornerstone, not a complementary piece. There's also a key detail here that a lot of people overlook. When you agree to pay this kind of number in a 5th-year option, you're essentially setting the baseline for future negotiations. That number doesn't exist in a vacuum. It becomes a reference point. And being honest, it strengthens the player's leverage. If the team is already willing to pay $27.3 million for a single season, what argument do they have to offer significantly less on a long-term deal? And this is exactly where things start getting more complicated than they seem. Because as big as that number is, it might just be the starting point, depending on what's happening across the league. And right now, the wide receiver market is completely out of control. Even with the 5th-year option locked in, this story is far from over. Reports make it clear that the Baltimore Ravens and Zay Flowers are expected to sit down and negotiate a long-term extension in the coming months. And to me, that's no surprise at all. Moves like this usually act as a bridge. The team secures control, buys time, but already has its eyes on a long-term deal that's eventually coming. The problem is the timing. While the Ravens were handling the situation, the market exploded. The biggest example? Jackson Smith-Njigba's signing with the Seattle Seahawks. 4 years, $168.6 million, averaging around $42 million per year. That didn't just raise the bar, it completely reset the position. To me, deals like that instantly reshape every negotiation that comes after. And here's where it gets even more sensitive. Flowers is part of that same draft class. That's not a small detail. That becomes a direct argument at the negotiating table. Even if the player profiles are different, the comparison is unavoidable. And let's be honest, agents live off those comparisons. They don't treat that deal as an outlier. They treat it as the new standard. That puts the Ravens in a spot where waiting could get very expensive very fast. To me, this is where timing becomes everything. If the team moves early, they might still control the financial impact before the market climbs even higher. If they wait, they risk paying a premium on top of an already inflated position. And once you get into that level of discussion, one factor starts to matter more than anything else: what the player has already proven on the field.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
When you look at what Zay Flowers has done since entering the league, it's really hard to argue against this level of investment. Taken 22nd overall in the NFL Draft 2023, he didn't take long to establish himself as a key piece in the Baltimore Ravens offense. And this isn't about potential anymore. This is about real production built over 3 seasons. The numbers speak for themselves: 237 receptions, 3,128 yards, and 14 touchdowns across 50 games, with 48 starts. That alone already puts him above average for a player at this stage of his career. But for me, the most important part isn't just the volume, it's the progression. This isn't a one-year spike. He's built a consistent performance standard. That growth becomes even clearer when you look at 2024 and 2025. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. And that doesn't happen by accident in the NFL. That takes talent, durability, consistency, and a major role in the offense. On top of that, 2 straight Pro Bowl selections show that this isn't just internal hype, it's league-wide recognition. For me, all of this changes how the team has to approach him moving forward. You're no longer dealing with a developing piece or a solid contributor. He's producing like a true WR1. And once that level of production starts stacking up, it naturally leads into another conversation, one that carries even more weight: his historical impact within the franchise. What Zay Flowers did in 2025 wasn't just productive. It was historic for the Baltimore Ravens. His 1,211 receiving yards didn't just lead the team. It set the franchise record for a wide receiver in a single season. To me, that shifts the entire perception of who he is as a player. This goes beyond consistency. This is elite production at a historic level. And what makes it even more impressive is the career timeline. We're talking about a player just 3 seasons into the league who already ranks among the top 5 in franchise history in receptions and receiving yards. That doesn't happen randomly, especially in an offense that hasn't traditionally been built around high-volume passing. This kind of impact accelerates everything around a player. Expectations rise, pressure increases, market value skyrockets, all at the same time. To me, that's exactly why the Ravens didn't hesitate to lock in that 5th year. They know they're not dealing with an average talent. They're dealing with someone who's already leaving a real mark on the organization. And when you combine elite production, league-wide recognition, and historic impact this early in a career, the conversation shifts completely. It's no longer about if he's getting a massive contract. It's about just how high that number is going to go when that extension finally gets done. This move by the Baltimore Ravens makes one thing very clear. Zay Flowers is no longer just part of the roster. He's a central piece of the franchise's future. The investment is significant. The commitment is real. And to me, it shows the team fully understands what they have. This isn't just about what he's already done. It's about how much further he can take this offense. At the same time, this decision opens up a whole new phase. Locking in the 5th year was just step 1. Now the real conversation turns to a long-term extension, especially with a wide receiver market that's more aggressive than ever. What was decided here directly impacts what comes next, and it could shape not just Flowers' future, but how the Ravens build this team moving forward. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Flowers already deserves a massive long-term deal, or would you wait one more season? Drop your take in the comments. I'm reading everything.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself. See you there, And until the next video, go flock.